Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode of our Faces of Mass Golf series. I'm so happy to be joined by Nick Maccario, one of the rising stars of the Mass Golf Amateur Circuit. Nick, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you're staying healthy and well at this time.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. So if Nick looks familiar, it's because last year he made a pretty good name for himself. He won the Mass Amateur Championship, set a competitive course record in the process. He also won the Mass Four Ball with his playing partner Mike Caleb, and on top of that, he also qualified for the U.S. Amateur last year. It was, his first USGA qualifier. Nick, when you look back at all these accolades alone, does this feel like these things happened a lot longer than 1 year ago?
It does. The last 2 months have been very long, so you've been itching to get out on the golf course and with everything. But feels like a while ago, but it's already June, so that's pretty crazy too.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about those past experiences in a few minutes. But first, I want to get to this year. When golf was initially shut down in many states, including New England due to COVID-19, were you able to do anything to kind of keep your golf game going?
Uh, I didn't do a lot, so luckily I played virtual golf for a couple months, like before everything, which has been really helpful. Played in February at the Gasparilla, which was the last time I think anybody got on a plane, just barely. So that was my last real experience. I probably took 6 weeks without touching any kind of golf club, which was interesting to say the least, right? Because that's when we're all usually trying to get ready. But as of right now, we did sneak down to South Carolina. Hopefully, hit some balls, hit the range, things like that. So that blessed to have the opportunity to do that. But when I was at home, I did air swings for about a week, and you don't get the same feedback you normally do.
Right. I'm curious, did you pick up any different hobbies at the time or find anything different to do to fill that 6 week void?
I definitely played a lot more video games and played some online poker with some of the mass guys, which has been great to get to know some of the mass guys a little bit better. So
And with you get a new video game coming out soon too, the 2K. Did you see that?
I did. Yeah, that's gonna be that'll be fun. So perfect timing. Everyone was kind of talking about we need something like that.
I'm with you. So yeah, that's great. Um, when well, how long? First of all, how long have you been down in Hilton Head?
It's been about 5 weeks.
Yeah. When you got down there, how quickly were you able to get on the golf course?
Fairly. I mean, we stayed in for about the first week and a half. We had already been quarantined up in Massachusetts, so we weren't really doing anything anyway. So we kind of got to the driving range early, then eventually made ourselves, available to go to the golf course. And everything kind of has some restrictions. You certainly aren't playing close with other people, things like that. But it's been really great. Everyone's really accommodating down south, so they're really really great about it. They haven't had nearly the amount of cases. I think they've only had about 8,000 cases, which is, 10% of what Massachusetts had. So pretty lucky in that respect.
Yeah. What was that first round like after a 6 week or almost 2 month hiatus and not picking up the club? I can imagine there was a
It was ugly. It
yeah.
was ugly. It was ugly. I thought, I'm like, man, they should cancel golf for the rest of the year. I won't feel so bad. It was odd hitting off of grass. You can't use the range or anything when you first got down here. If you were going to play golf at a golf course, they just said, get in the cart and go play. So not being able to warm up or get any kind of feedback was difficult.
Mhm. Um, so, going on with the rest of this year, the USGA just announced this week the US Open and Amateur Championships, the only events that will be happening this year, and they'll only include exempt fields. What was sort of your reaction to that? And does that change any sort of competitive plans for you going forward?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm certainly trying to qualify for, the mid-am and the amateur at least, and certainly the four ball. I don't blame them. It'll be interesting what they do from an exemption standpoint. I obviously everyone's hoping like, hey, how can I get in? But I think this year, there's more important things somewhat than golf. Certainly, it's a great release for a lot of people. It's like a religion. That's a time to get out and be able to work on yourself, but also work on your golf game. So I don't blame the USGA. Certainly, I think it sets a precedent for things to come. But we'll see what happens.
Right. With that in mind, what do you think of the competition that's going to take place? It's just going to be limited to mass golf events in many ways and maybe some other regional events. Do you think that's going to raise some of the level of competition that you'll see
But
locally?
yeah, absolutely. I think, from my standpoint, I haven't really played the New England Amateur just because of work. And, you get 3 straight weeks between the state am, the New England am, and the We Met. This year I said, you know what, I'm going to do it because, you can't count on all the other stuff that you were really either hoping to get into or continue to play in. So I think you're going to see a heightened field and everything because you're going to have guys that might take those couple weeks off to say, hey, I'm going to take it when I can because we haven't had anything all year. So, which will be really great to see guys play events that they either play every so often or don't play at all.
Right. Because I know a lot of times those events overlap. You'll have a qualifier or championship proper and then jump right back into mass golf events. So definitely, I feel like we're going to see a lot of stacked
Sure.
competition in a way this year.
Yeah,
Assuming
it'd be
everyone
great.
stays healthy.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
so you grew up in Haverhill, if I have that correct, right?
I did.
Yeah, and
Yep.
it's a lot of golf tradition on the North Shore, but I'm kind of curious, how did you get your start in golf, and what was the game to you growing up?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it was up until I really started playing competitively. It was something where I only played as kind of an add-on sport. I played hockey and baseball before golf, and golf was kind of the thing. We were lucky enough to have a second house up in North Conway with my grandparents, and with the house came a golf membership. So for 3 or 4 straight summers, I just played golf, in between sports, which has been really great. So tried to do that. And then when I went to high school, I just, put my head down and said, well, I'm not going to make the MLB, and I certainly am not making the NHL. So I, dedicated more of my life to golf. Not that I'm at the PGA Tour, but I think in hindsight, I probably made a pretty good decision.
And in high school, you played for St. John's Prep, which for over a decade has been, if not the best, one of the best high school programs in the state. And when you talk
For
about
sure.
competition, what was it like being on a team with that much talent and the fact that you got to captain that team?
Yeah, it was awesome. St. John's is a great school. I think it prepares you for more than just, schooling and for sports. Before I went there, you had the Zelotuses that played there. Even way back, you have guys that are in the Hall of Fame that have played in USAMs. Name a USGA event they've played in it. So, to go there and play golf was an unbelievable experience. Your home club is Salem and Kernwood, which you can't really beat when you're playing competitive golf. And, we had some guys in the team that were really good. I mean, you look at Nick McLaughlin, he's a fairly good golfer.
Barely.
And so, we had a really deep team. We didn't win when I was there, a state championship, which was a bummer, but it was still awesome camaraderie. And, you get to play a lot of good courses. We played some courses on the Cape that, really got us around town. You didn't play so local. So that was a benefit of obviously being at a private school.
Yeah, absolutely. And you told us after the winning the Mid-Am last year that 2019 was your best year in golf. And, coming a few years removed from college, what kind of changed last year? And what is something you learned that allowed you to kind of take your game to a higher level, kind of to where it is, at least at the end of last year, if not now?
Yeah. So, I think for me, it was something where I just kind of learned how to practice and learned how to play my own game. I think you kind of figure out all the guys that are, really good year after year. They do something really well, whether it's, consistency or, hitting it straight, whatever that is. But it's just, being comfortable within that, not trying to play somebody else's game. And to be honest, playing it as a luxury and not playing it because you have to. So I think playing in college, I only played for about a year and a half, and I kind of burned out and for other reasons just didn't end up playing the full time. And, after I didn't really give it up, but I definitely didn't play competitively for a couple of years. And then when I came back out to the, workforce, I'm thinking, what can I do? And, golf was really there, and the camaraderie with the guys and being able to travel has been awesome.
Mm-hmm. And what's something people might not know about you if they were to play with you. I guess we'll call it inside the rope. I don't know how many ropes they have
Yeah,
on your
yeah.
events.
They might have a lot of ropes now.
Maybe, yeah, social distancing, of course. What some people don't know that they might see in person, but they see out on the golf course. How competitive do you get, and or just how do you kind of approach the game?
Sure. Yeah, I think, I've always tried to not get too up or too down with anything just because, for me that, usually if you get overconfident, something happens. But if you get too down on yourself, something happens. So I've always tried to be kind of like a Jason Duffner. Unfortunately, I look more physically like him than maybe my golf game represents. But I think that's probably where, other sports have kind of helped. You didn't, those other sports, you didn't have time to think about, how did I screw up? How did I not screw up? And, uh, on the golf course, I just try to be pretty even keeled.
Mm. And is it helpful in a sport like golf where you can constantly get better, that you're not limited by age? There's not like a point of no return, I guess. People
Right.
have gone pro. We had Alan Doyle, from Massachusetts turned pro in his 40s. So, not saying that's necessarily in your forecast, but is it encouraging that you were able to pick up the sport after being kind of burnt out and be able to have this level of success now?
Sure. Yeah, I think, it was funny when I was a junior, I played a lot of the US Challenge Cup events with Dave Adamonis. And for whatever reason, he kind of told me, it's like, as you get older, you're going to get better. And not everybody's like that. And that kind of always stuck with me to give me that confidence to say, hey, just because you're getting older doesn't mean you don't play better. I mean, you have Vijay Singh won the most in his 40s, right? Something like that crazy. So, you have guys that can perpetually win it at every age. I mean, you look at Frank, he's done it for, how many decades, 4 decades.
Mhm.
So, trying to emulate someone with that is all about consistency.
I want to talk about the U.S. Amateur last year. We'll start with the qualifier, actually, which certainly had its bit of roller coaster ride. You started strong 4 under, and then the second round was a rough start, two bogeys, a double on the ninth. You were able to recover with those three birdies, get your way back to the playoff, and win it. How are you sort of able to handle the pressure of that situation and pull through?
Yeah. The closest I ever came was before that was at Vesper, probably, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. And when I first did that, it definitely played a little bit harder than Andover. And I want to say I was 3 under through 26 holes. And I thought, man, if I can birdie, I was playing 18 as the um, 27th hole. I had knocked it up there at about 4 or 5 feet, and like I had a really hard lip out, and I was like, oh man, 4 under through 27, that was something. And then I had the unfortunate pleasure of walking right past the leaderboard and seeing I was pretty close, pretty much right on the cut line, and I just pressed, and I was like, man, uh, I don't want to know, but you need to know. Didn't play well and ended up not making it. Last year, I love Andover. Actually, some of the people who I'm with down here are members at Andover Country Club, which has been funny. So, um, Andover's always been a place that I've played well at. I know it well. That first round was about as easy as it gets. I think I bogeyed 18 and really like got under my skin to say, that can't happen. And then started off the next round and started really well. So coming down the stretch, I was talking to my caddy. He's one of my brother's best friends, and he said, do you know where you stand? And I was like, I feel like I do. I feel like I don't. And however we got word of it, it was really right at the end. We were one of the last groups, and on 9 made that double that sticks in my memory for, unfortunately, as long as I'll probably have a memory.
Well, you were able to overcome it though, so certainly it didn't end up costing you at the end of the day. But
Right.
when you were in that playoff and you have the guy you're going up against hits the top of the flag pin, did your heart drop at that moment?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So it was fun. I mean, it was interesting to play against someone who plays at Texas, right? I think it was Spencer Sussman. So like he plays at Texas, obviously they're a renowned program. And once I got into the playoff, the pressure was off. Honestly, it was one of those things where I said, okay, I've gotten to this point. It's just me versus him, and I got one hole, and I hit it, perfect. He hit it right, and and I want to say got lucky. He just missed the cart path. If he hits the cart path, I kind of waltz in. He still has a really hard shot, and I'm thinking it's ripe for the picking. And when he rattles it off the stick, me and my caddy, I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. So it was something that was really, really crazy. And, luckily I composed myself, had a good number to stick with, and hit a good shot in there.
Right. And then I'm sure it was a great experience going on to Pinehurst and playing that. What do you remember most from that trip and getting to play on such a prestigious course like that?
Yeah, I mean, I was super lucky for my first to be at Pinehurst. I had been down there as a caddy for the North South for one of my friends. I remember, the USGA does an unbelievable job with, making the players feel special, getting, everything, all your ducks in a row when you get down there. Certainly my family, my girlfriend, extended family came down and watched. So, that was something where, you definitely get that at home, but for them to travel all the way down to North Carolina was really special. And I'll give Will Holcomb a shout out. I played with him in the par 3 tournament. He made it to, I think, the semis or the quarters, and he made 2 hole-in-ones back to back in the par 3 contest. So that was outrageous to me. I was just like, man, this is crazy. And he was a qualifier, right? Like, he did it the same way I did. So to see him do that well, and he's an awesome guy. So that was fun.
He's back to back. That's a once in a lifetime thing.
Play the lottery. Go play the lottery.
I don't know. I feel people say that all the time, but I feel like that's a city where like your luck is maxed out. Like what?
Yeah, you've run out.
You're wasting money at that point.
It's true. Very true.
Yeah. I was reading the story going to the Mid-Am. Not only did you win it, but with that competitive course record, I'd read that you didn't even get a practice round at Brayburn, and you were using notes from a past event with a friend. How did that all work out, where you were able to just show up to the course for round one and be able to really have everything clicking for you?
Yeah. Well, luckily, like, that was, not too far after the USAM. I had played the North Shore Am after that, just played the Tarlow. So, like, I had a lot of competitive rounds already playing. I felt good about my game. And I had played Brayburn in the We Met. I played it in a Mass Junior. That was the first Mass event I think I ever played, was at Brayburn, funny enough. So kind of remembered it to a sense, but just with practice rounds and everything getting busy, I felt, I was like, you know what, I'm confident enough that I can get around there. And the first round, I'll just try to, hit fairways and greens, which luckily I did. But, used Mike Califf's notes, and he took some pictures of the book and just sent it over to me, and kind of jogged my memory a little bit more. There are a couple new tee boxes, but with that being said, it was still just like I had remembered for the most part.
Mm-hmm. When you're going through a round like that, what's that feeling like? Is it when everything's just working? Is it one of those things where you're just trying to tell yourself, just don't screw it up? Like, just keep doing what you're doing?
It was something where, like, I didn't really, you always kind of have an idea of what you're at, right? You always kind of have an idea of how low you are, or, how many over you are. And you don't want to know that. And, after the first couple holes, I just kind of knew I was hitting it well. I made one really bad double bogey, which wasn't a lack of ball striking. It was just a bad choice on the 4th hole. So after that, I just said, keep hitting it the way you're hitting it, and, put it in the right split space. It was definitely a lot of luck involved. It wasn't like I planned to go up there and play that well, but, you just kind of, at the end, it was honestly one of those things where I was just like, hit the green. 17 and 18 there are not the easiest holes. 17, luckily I had, I want to say Frank went first, and I kind of was able to club off him a little bit, which was very helpful. And then 18, just kind of, that green is diabolical. So I was just like, hit the hole, and luckily it came close. So didn't really know what it was, which was good. I think if I knew that I was either on the number or one short, it would have probably made me, like, play a little bit different or think differently. So it was good not to know.
Right. But having Frank with you, does that kind of, I picture it almost like having a pace setter. And even if you're shooting first, you guys were able to, so much expertise to read the course his way. I'm sure that's really helpful as you're going through your round.
Oh yeah, yeah. Playing with him and Nick was super helpful. I mean, Frank is the best professional there is out there, and obviously me and Nick went to high school together, so it was a comfortable pairing nonetheless. So I was looking forward to that, and we all played well too. So didn't make the day seem, it was as good as it could get.
Right. And the other championship you won last year was Mike Gale in the four ball. What was it like to partner up, and how did that kind of partnership come together and result in a winning team?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, Caliph is as steady as you can get. We played together in the Tri-States, I think, 3 years ago. Just out of luck, Jesse and Kev put us together, and we just kind of hit it off. And he's actually probably the most degenerate video game player I know, so he's kind of dragged me into that recently. But he, we just kind of talked golf and would talk frequently, and then eventually I kind of dragged him in and said, "Man, I need a four-ball partner. Like, can we play?" And last year things kind of came together.
Yes, looks like a sunny weekend. Where are you looking to play this weekend? And is there anything new you've been testing out in the bag this year?
This year, not really. Kind of tinkered around with 3-wood a little bit, a couple of 3-wood heads and shafts. I don't play a 3-wood that often, so it's just something that I wanted to kind of get in the bag. Gonna play, I believe on this weekend, play Caledonia up in Myrtle Beach. Take a drive up there. My uncle was just bought a place, so get to go to Myrtle Beach. Never have been there, so make it out there this weekend, hopefully.
Yeah, and with the amateur this year at Kittansett, I'm sure you have plans to play. Have you gotten to play at Kittansett before, and what have you thought of?
Yeah, everyone tells me it's going to be my favorite course. I haven't played it yet, so I was talking to Steve Delisio, and I think we're going to plan to get out there just before. He hasn't played it either, so if the defending champ hasn't played it, we can take some notes together. So it'll be fun.
Good stuff. Nick Maccario, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you back up here in Massachusetts at some point later this spring or summer.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, you bet. And thank you so much for joining us for this video. To watch the entire interview, go to our YouTube page. You can also go to our social media at Play Mass Golf on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you so much for joining, and see you next time.